What's going on, guys? The Comics Kid 2099 here. Welcome to day 105 of the 365-day graphic novel review challenge. Today, I want to talk to you about another Superman book that's not part of the main DC universe, but I still think that it is worthwhile and worth your time. And that book is Superman, The Adventures of the Man of Steel. This collects the first 6 issues of the Superman Adventures series, which was a companion piece to Superman the Animated Series, and it is supposed to be set in the DC Animated Universe. And this is by Scott McCloud, Paul Dini, Rick Burchett, and Brett Blevins. And that is a powerhouse team if I ever saw one. Scott McCloud is a fantastic writer. I would say most people are familiar with him because of books that he did, like Understanding Comics and How to Write Comics or How to Draw Comics. People know him for those books, but he's also a really good fiction writer. He's been doing fiction stuff since before I was born, and most people aren't even aware of that side of his career. Most people only know him because of Understanding Comics. And if you look at this, you will see that he's a really good writer, and he's teamed up with another really good writer, Paul Dini, and I think that Dini was paired off with Scott McCloud mostly so that they could have a little bit of a consistency with the DC Animated Universe on television, and then he could kind of say, yeah, we already did an episode kind of like that, so we don't want to do an issue kind of like that in this series. And then I'm pretty sure after a while, both Paul Dini and Scott McCloud were taken off the book, and then other writers followed. I think Mark Miller did some of his early work on this series, but there's some really good stories here. One thing I really like about it is this is 6 issues, and we get 6 standalone stories. One thing that has always bugged me, and I've talked about it a little bit on this channel before, is when I first started getting into DC Comics, and then I would see an issue that looked really cool, I would open it up, and it would say part 3 of a 6-part story. I always hated that. I don't think that we need to decompress stories that much. It's okay to have a multi-part story, but you don't have to have nothing but 6 and 8-part stories. I like that this is 6 standalone stories. Even when you're reading it in a trade paperback collection, to me, it feels like you're getting more bang for your buck when you're getting 6 stories instead of you're getting one really long story that probably didn't even need to be stretched out as much as it was. So that's one thing that I really liked about this. Also, this may not matter to you if you're not a fan of Superman the Animated Series or if you've never seen it, but this does feel consistent with Superman the Animated Series. And if you are a fan of that series like I am, and you've already bought all of the DVDs, but you want more kind of like that, this would be a really good book to check out. Now, I will go ahead and say DC has recently been reprinting this series, and they were also reprinting the Batman Adventures series as well. And if you are interested in checking out this series, I would go ahead and check out the new printings instead of this, mostly because each printing collects more than just 6 issues, and they're doing more than just this volume. I'm not sure if this series was ever completely available in trade before they started doing those new printings. Now, I don't have any of those new printings, that's why I'm talking about this volume here, but if you are interested in this series, I would recommend those printings instead of this older one. But this series is really good. I really like the stories. I haven't even talked about the artwork here. The artwork does feel very consistent with the Superman the Animated Series house style, but it does feel a little bit different. You can tell that the artist, Rick Burchett, who has done some of the other DC Animated Universe comics like the Batman Adventures stuff, he worked on some of those. You can tell that him and Brett Blevins are both stretching their wings a little bit more. They're trying some different stuff that they wouldn't have been able to have gotten away with on Superman the Animated Series. And that's understandable. Whenever you're doing a cartoon, it's important to have a consistent style and not change things up every episode depending on the storyboard artist that you have for that episode. But Brett Blevins, definitely him, more so than Rick Burchett. You can tell that he's trying a little bit of stuff here that he wouldn't have been able to have gotten away with in Superman the Animated Series. His Superman is a little bit more angular. Some of the work here is a little bit more stylized. You can see it kind of here. Some of these guys shooting at Superman, they don't quite look like what they would have looked like on Superman the Animated Series, but this is still recognizable as being that version of Superman. I really like this book. I think that this is worth giving to someone who likes Superman, but maybe they haven't been liking a lot of the Superman stuff that's come out lately, or they didn't like the stuff from the New 52, and they wanted to see if there's anything else Superman related in the comics that they haven't read before. This would be a really good thing to give to that person. Or, like I said, if you're a big fan of the DC Animated Universe and you want more like that, this would also be good for that kind of person. So I really like this book. I hope that you guys like it if you decide to check it out, and I hope that you like this video. If you did, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I will be back tomorrow with a different video. In the meantime, you guys have a great rest of the day. Catch you later.